Today I want to talk about the principle of tensegrity and how it affects the human body and also affects the production of structural musculoskeletal pain, for example lower back pain, within the human body. Now, humans themselves are what's known as a tensegrity structure. Now, a tensegrity structure has a couple of key principles. The main one being that it doesn't fail at the point of maximal stress. It fails at the weakest point. Now we can see that in action if we look at this tensegrity model, by the way that if we apply pressure to one part of the model, the whole thing begins to distort to absorb that load. What we don't do is get movement at one point, and we don't get a breakage at one point. Every single elastic and dowel in this model moves and compensates when stress is applied. This is exactly how the body works as a biotensegrity structure. If we apply stress at one area of the body, all of the other tissues throughout that system adapt, compensate and load differently to absorb that stress. So with that in mind, understanding that the tensegrity structure, such as the body, will fail at the weakest point, it leaves us with two primary points within the body. One is what's known as the failure point, and this area, this failure point, is where you will experience your symptoms. So for example, if you're having lower back pain, then the lower back in most cases will be known as your failure point. It's the piece of the tensegrity model that has given out because it's the weakest link. However, it's in most cases very unlikely to be the point of maximum stress. So we have the failure point, which is where you're experiencing your symptoms. We then need to find the stressor point. Now the stressor point can be completely remote. If you have a look through some of our other videos or articles or check out our website, you'll see time and time again how most of our clients come in with pain at a failure point, and we actually diagnose and treat a remote stressor point to relieve those symptoms. Even in a lot of cases where conventional treatment to the failure point has not been able to work. So, for example, there's a lot of scientific research out there that shows that the position of the jaw and the function of the jaw is a direct correlator of chronic lower back pain. This would be a prime example of the jaw being the stressor point and the lower back being the failure point. Now, there's quite a bit of research out there, quite a bit of theories out there in terms of why certain parts of the body are much more likely to fail, hence why lower back pain is so prevalent, neck pain is so prevalent, shoulder pain is so prevalent. However, chronic wrist pain, chronic hand pain is actually a lot less prevalent than chronic lower back pain. In future videos we will go through and cover the reasons why certain areas are more likely to fail, and also why certain areas are more likely to be stressor points. But the key takeaway from today's video is the fact that in any person experiencing symptoms, you will have a failure point, which is where your symptoms are manifesting. This is the weakest point within your system. And you will also have a hidden stressor point, the maximal point of loading onto your body. What we focus on doing is treating stressor points to take the load off of the failure points. You'll find a lot of conventional treatment. You'll present to a clinician with lower back pain, they'll find tightnesses and pain in the lower back, and they'll spend session upon session upon session treating the failure point, and you either get short-term relief or no relief at all. And that's because the stressor point is left under the maximal load, and the body has no choice, as a tensegrity structure, if the stress remains, to distort, compensate and refail. So you will end up in a chronic cycle of stress, failure point, treat the failure point, stress stays, refail, and it goes round in a circle. If you can find the hidden stressor point and eliminate that, you then break that recurrent cycle, which means not only do you get mid to long term results initially, you also really start to look at preventing future occurrences of injuries. So anytime you experience symptoms next, just consider the fact that where you're experiencing symptoms is the failure point, and the hidden stressor point needs to be identified and treated.